Episode 1 The Lantern. The Thompsons were the kind of couple that booked their vacations last minute. Busy with their work lives and all the hustle and bustle kept them from taking regular vacations. But even when trying to book last minute, Sarah was always trying to find a deal. They both had use it or lose it vacation time, so they decided a 4-day weekend getaway would be nice. "Look at this," Sarah said. "An ocean view cottage just on the outskirts of a sleepy seaside village called Rock Point." "Yes, please." The listing was short. Only a few photos, no reviews. But the price was good, and the place looked charming. White shutters, a beautiful rustic seaside porch with a view of the crashing waves. "Must be a brand new listing," Sarah said. "There are no reviews. It's cute, though. Should be nice." "A little seaside town could be relaxing, with a little small-town charm," Dan said, as he peeked over her shoulder to see the photos. It was a scenic drive through the forest as they made their way to the rental. As the trees began to thin out, the road gave way to the smell of the salt air, and soon, a view of the ocean and the waves crashing against the rocks. The town of Rock Point appeared like something out of a New England postcard. Weathered homes, rusted crab traps, everything you would expect from old-world coastal towns. They finally arrived at the rental, just as the sun was beginning to set. Inside the house, they found a note, not printed, but handwritten. "Welcome to Rock Point. Please enjoy your stay. As a courtesy to the locals, please light the lantern by the front window at sunset each night. This is very important. Don't forget. The Whitcombs." "That's weird. And it wasn't mentioned in the listing," Sarah muttered. Her husband Dan laughed. "What do you think this is about? Tradition? Superstition?" Sarah just shrugged as she went back to unpack the car. With the last bag in the house, Dan and Sarah stood on the porch admiring the sunset and the sound of the ocean. "Would you look at that?" Dan said. As he pointed up the hill, lanterns were being lit in the windows. "Well, we wouldn't want to anger the locals on our first night. Let's find that lantern." Sitting on a small table by the front-facing window was an old brass lantern. It smelled faintly of oil and smoke. Dan checked the kitchen drawers and found a box of matches. "Let's see if this thing even works," Dan said as he struck a match. "This is dumb. What if it starts a fire while we're sleeping?" Sarah asked. As Dan got the lantern lit, he turned and wrapped his arms around Sarah. "Oh, you plan on sleeping?" he asked with a sly grin before gently kissing her. The house was quite cozy. In the morning, Dan made sure he put the flame out on the lantern and then opened up the window. A gentle ocean breeze rustled the curtains, and the sound of the ocean grew louder. It was just the type of relaxation they needed. The day's itinerary was pretty basic. Dan and Sarah laid around for a good part of the morning, enjoying not having the need to worry about work. Hunger broke the lazy morning, and they decided to head to the main part of town to see what they could find for brunch. They spent the day exploring the area, visiting shops, and just enjoying the free time. As dinner time approached, they found a little pub for some food and drinks. They decided to sit at the bar. They looked over the predominantly seafood menu and ordered their meal, along with some drinks. The bartender made small talk, asking where they were from and whether they were just passing through. Dan said, "We're here for a few days. We're renting the little cottage on the edge of town." The bartender peeked out the window, looking at the sun low on the horizon. "Have you folks lit your lantern for the night?" Dan chuckled. "Not yet. We've been enjoying the town all day." The bartender, in a more serious tone, "Sir, I suggest you head back to your rental and light your lantern." "What's the story behind that anyway? I've been wondering since I got here. Is it superstition, tradition? Why does the whole town do it?" Dan asked. "It's said that during a storm, the lighthouse went dark. No light to warn the ships of the rocks in the area. You can guess what happened. A lot of men were lost during that freak storm. So now, the town of Rock Point, everyone here, lights their lanterns at night so that the ships know to stay away from the area. Now, will you please head home and light your lantern?" "Oh, so tradition. Don't worry, we'll get it lit. But we aren't going anywhere until we finish our meal." Dan and Sarah continued their meal, sipping their drinks and discussing life. On their way out, the bartender said, "Don't forget your lantern," a bit anxious. "Yeah, we got it," Sarah called back before whispering to Dan. "He's a bit persistent." "Over a lantern? What do you think about that?" "Some people love their traditions," Dan said. "Still, no need to be a jerk about it. I think he would have kicked us out if we had stayed any longer," Sarah said, as she looked back over her shoulder at the bartender cleaning up their meal. When they got back to the house, Dan lit the lantern. "I can't believe you're still doing that," Sarah said in a huff. "Relax, dear. It's their tradition. When in Rome, right? Let's watch a movie." After searching through the options, they snuggled up on the couch, settling in for their movie. Partway through the movie, Sarah got up and walks over to the lantern. "What are you doing?" Dan asks. "I can't see part of the stream with the stupid reflection from the lamp." "It's not that bad." "No, it's our vacation. I'm not going to allow their tradition to ruin my vacation. We are paying for this rental. We are going to enjoy ourselves at our own convenience. And this lantern is currently an inconvenience." With that said, Sarah put out the lantern and settled in on the couch to finish her movie. "See, much better," Sarah pointed out, as now there was no lantern light reflecting on the screen. After the movie, Dan and Sarah headed to bed, forgetting to relight the lantern. Sometime after midnight, a rattling noise. Sarah blinked awake in the dark. Had she imagined it? There it was again, a rattling, like that of a doorknob, twisting slowly. She sat up, heart racing, a thump on the porch boards. Then silence. She shook Dan awake, but by the time he stirred, there was nothing, no sound, no movement. She quickly explained to Dan what she heard. Dan checked the house, made sure the door was locked, and told Sarah there was nothing there. "Just go back to sleep. It was probably just a dream." Dan was softly snoring in no time. Sarah, on the other hand, had a hard time falling back to sleep. The next morning was just as unrushed as the first. The couple slept in and lazed around for the morning, just as they planned, a carefree, relaxing vacation. After a little discussion, they decided that today they would drive along the coast and see what the next town over had to offer in ways of food and entertainment. When they opened the front door to head to their car, they were hit by the stench of rotten eggs and decay. There was seaweed draped over the porch railing and along the porch walk that was drying in the sun. Under a rock on the porch was a small, weathered, torn piece of parchment. It read, "Log entry, Mariner's Grace, date 17 August, 0130 hours. Position, 3 nautical miles west of Rock Point. Weather, clear. Visibility, good. Note, expected to see lighthouse beacon at Rock Point, none visible. Reconfirm bearings. Conditions clear, no signal seen. Crew advised, marked log for potential outage or abandonment." "I told you I heard something last night," Sarah shrieked at her husband. "Now do you believe me?" "Yes, yes. Damn, this seaweed stinks." As they cleaned up the seaweed, Sarah continued her complaining. "What is wrong with these people? They even put today's date. It's just a stupid tradition. They don't need to go around harassing visitors. It's all just bullshit." "I know. This is taking things a bit too far. We have 2 more days here. Let's make the best of it." They continued with their plans and took a drive down the coast. They spent the day in the next town over, enjoying food and walks on the beach. As they headed back, Dan realized that they wouldn't make it back before dark. "Looks like we'll be late lighting that lantern," Dan said with a soft chuckle. I am not lighting that stupid thing. It's their tradition, not mine. And if they think they can harass us, then I'll just call the police. The return to the college was uneventful and a bit quiet after Dan had mentioned the lantern. Once inside, Dan got out the box of matches. Oh, hell no, Sarah said. We are not going to be pushed into playing their stupid games. It's just a lantern. It's not a big deal, Dan replied. No, they can hold their stupid tradition, but harassing us in the middle of the night? No, I will not be a part of it. They went to bed without lighting the lantern. As the couple slept, the winds rose, lightning began to flash, and thunder rumbled. A storm was moving in off the coast. The weather had woken both Dan and Sarah. They tossed and turned, trying to go back to sleep, when thump, thump was heard between the thunder and over the wind. Did you hear that? Sarah asked. Yeah, I'll go check it out, Dan said. As Dan made his way out of the bedroom and towards the front door, he heard it again. Thump, thump. Being this close, he could tell it was coming from the front door. Who's there? Dan demanded. Thump, thump. Go away, we're calling the police. Thump, thump. Behind him, Sarah cries, The call won't go through. The house began to lurch, items tumbling around the room as the furniture slid back and forth. Sarah screamed as she fell, unable to keep her footing. Dan, trying to stay on his own 2 feet, rushes over to help Sarah. As the house continues to lurch back and forth, the couple make their way to the door. With one arm around Sarah, Dan unlocks the front door and throws it open, ready to run for the car. They stare in disbelief as they look beyond the door. The porch and car are gone. There is only a deck railing, and beyond that, the violent, stormy ocean lit by flashes of lightning. A voice is heard over the wind and the thunder. All hands, batten down the hatches. A few days later, Mary Whitcomb pulls up to her rental property. She let herself in to see what state the couple had left her property in. As she looks around, she said, Pristine, as usual. She walks over to the counter to retrieve the note that was left there. Log entry, Mariner's Grace. Date, 18 August. 0230 hours. Position, Rock Point. Weather, gale force winds, torrential rain, violent sea. Note, the rain is coming in sideways. Walls of black water are slamming the ship. We should be near Rock Point, but there is no lighthouse beacon. If we go down to the depths, this shall be my last entry. There is no light. If that happens, know we died in the dark. If no soul stands watch upon the shore, let their souls join ours in the deep. Signed, John Whitcomb, First Mate. The following year, in early August, Rachel calls to her husband Mark. Babe, come look at this cute little seaside cottage. If you ever find yourself staying in Rock Point, stay the night. Enjoy yourself. Just remember, every window along the craggy coast still glows with the flicker of lanterns, because some tides carry more than water, and not all ships lost at sea stay lost.